Hey guys, Sean Ryan here. I'm super excited to announce a project that I've been working on. I partnered with Ironclad for their newest original series, Target Intelligence PsyOp. It's an 8-part audio experience where we find out who is really pulling the strings. Buy it today, it's psyopshow.com. Link is in the show notes. The stakes have never been higher.
It's a legitimate enemy. It's an embedded enemy, and there's no way to really sugarcoat it, you know? And I think we've gotten
Yeah.
so used to some semblance of everything at our fingertips. And yeah, we've had very violent crime in certain cities, but I think of, California, and I think of growing up in the Silicon Valley and, pretty low crime per capita for the rest of the country in some of these crazy, crazy cities, right? Where you were at in Santa Cruz County, where I'm at in Montana now. I mean, I'm not really worried about a whole lot of crime going on in Lincoln County because the smallest little infraction is going to be in the, daily paper, and everybody's kind of their
Yeah.
own watchdog in these smaller communities of 3 to 7,000, 10,000 people. But it's a national thing of education, brother. It really has to be that because I'm glad you brought up China. Now that China isn't only working side by side in harmony with Sinaloa, let's say, or Jalisco, they're partnering. We
Yeah,
know.
precursors,
Yeah,
delivering stuff to the Vancouver
it
ports. Of course,
it's
we don't know what these chemicals what happens with them, but it just happens to be and here's the thing. They actually have a legitimate argument in one way because those chemicals could be used to create other things, but let's really be honest about what they are being
yeah.
used for. So, yeah, they're working hand in hand.
They're working hand in hand, and they're working hand in hand domestically, and the triads with getting into the weed trade now is pervasive. And we talked a little bit about it, but even since our last conversation, it's ramped up where Tucker Carlson just had a documentary on his site for Maine. I mean, the state of Maine, right up there of they basically recreationally legalized marijuana like California did. They
Yeah.
used our, very poor model, which I've been preaching against since Prop 64 was enacted in the Golden State. And so the triads have come in and they've taken over rural tracts, they bought homes, they're, putting up black market cannabis in their organization. They're using EPA banned toxics, neuro agents, poisons, and insecticide pesticides that are coming from mainland China. They're using their own. They're not even using the carbofuran and everything else that the Mexicans use, but they're doing it in cahoots, right? And I mean, it's money laundering exchange of, hey, we'll do some weed trade. We really need black market money from the Chinese side. And of course, those precursor chemicals that Jalisco and Sinaloa need for fentanyl and super meth and all this other crap, China is gladly providing it. I mean, it's a harmonious relationship. And there's
Yeah.
an end game to China benefiting from this of not only massive profits of black market dollars to convert to their money standard down the road or whenever. Um, but if we can kill 100,000 Americans a year with fentanyl, and we can get people secretly poisoned from toxically tainted Chinese grown marijuana in these grow houses, in these rural tracts all over the country, we're eroding and we're killing Americans in a silent war, in a cold war with soft power, and eroding that structure that is our enemy. We've made it clear China's not messing around, man. They're
Yeah.
not hiding what they're doing, right, Andy? We know they're headed to take Taiwan. They're making that clear that that's gonna happen within the next 2 years. We're gonna have to get involved. Who knows how that's gonna go? And we know what they're building for. We know what they're preparing for. They are an enemy of the US. They have no good intention for you and I or any of our kids, and to know that they're in cahoots with cartels that have been floating through America now for 30 plus years, um, that should be one of the top priorities, if not priority number 1. And so I completely agree with you. This collaboration they've got doesn't do anything for us. It puts everybody in danger. Um, it's been identified, thankfully. We're hitting it where we can. We're putting more emphasis on it, but we are a long way from really pushing back the tide, I think, with what I've seen and everybody I'm working with like you.
Yeah. So this question will fall into the WAG category, also known as wild ass
Yes, let's
gas.
go.
Let's use acres. Um, how many acres inside of the US do you think are cartel controlled? Whether it's southern border or Chinese influence, where they're doing grow operations or where they just have influence?
Man, it's huge. I'm gonna take California is an example because I have a reference some data we generated during the Met years of doing all of that. And I remember when you took just the public land outdoor grows, right, in our pristine forests. This was before there was this push and emphasis on private land tracts that were rural, but they were accessible by vehicle. You had a house, maybe a farm. You put up the hoop houses, the big
Mhm.
bisqueen greenhouses, which Northern California, Oklahoma, they've used that model. Maine, I mean, that's where they're going.
Hey guys, Sean Ryan here. I'm super excited to announce a project that I've been working on. I partnered with Ironclad for their newest original series, Target Intelligence PSYOP. It's an 8-part audio experience where we find out who is really pulling the strings. Buy it today, it's psyopshow.com. Link is in the show notes. The stakes have never been higher.